Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Career Series by Combined Social Ventures. CSV, or Combined Social Ventures, is the alumni association of Chevening Fellows who have been to either the Gurukul or CRISP programs at the University of Oxford. As a group, we're very committed to paying it forward, and we have a monthly series of webinars that we are bringing you where one of our experts will come and speak with you about something that can help you in your career development and moving forward. So today we have the second webinar in our series, and it's on Agentic AI, a very hot topic of great interest and a learning even for us on this, not just students, but even for us. Um, we have with us today Sandhya Guntreddy, our speaker today. Sandhya is a partner group engineering manager in the Commerce and Financial Services Organization of Microsoft. She has been at Microsoft for over 2 decades, and with her focus on modernizing commerce and financial platforms that processes Microsoft's revenue. She has learned a lot and worked on search and AI, cognitive services, Azure, Global Digital India, mobile, and across many different disciplines. Not just that, Sandhya is a CRISP fellow, a TEDx speaker, and a mentor. She's a very strong and passionate advocate for women in STEM, and she has been contributing to the biggest Women in Technology conference. So without taking too much time, I'd like to welcome Sandhya and hand over to her. Sorry, to introduce myself, I'm Smita Mankad. I'm the current president of CSV, and I look forward to seeing you again next month at our next webinar as well. Over to you, Sandhya.
Thank you very much, Smita. Really appreciate it for a warm introduction. Hi, everyone. A very, very, very good evening to all of you. And as you've heard from Smita, my name is Sandhya Guntreddy, and I'm a Chevening alum and a CRISP fellow, and I work at Microsoft. And today, thanks Suparna for helping in terms of presentation and facilitating the session along with me. Before we get into the topic, I know we have a bunch of students, professors, people in the corporate. I'd love to hear from some of you. What is your current understanding of AI? What was traditional AI, and what is agentic AI from your perspective? And we'll, get in from there. Because we have a small audience today, I think it'll be good to have a conversation is what I think. So that's where we come. If anybody wants to speak up, do raise your hands and unmute yourselves and come back, or you could also put it in the chat too. Who wants to go first?
Maybe I can go first, Sandhya.
Okay.
Yeah, so my understanding of AI is that it is basically uses data to be able to kind of create, assimilate knowledge in a way which continuously keeps on increasing or enhancing based on the amount of data that is created, and there are algorithms and neural networks that become a part of it as it moves forward. And it is intelligent because it keeps learning from itself, and but it is artificial because it is man-made. That's all I know right now.
All right, thank you, Suparna. Thanks for being the brave soul here. Any student who'd like to share what's AI you thought about from the traditional perspective? Because AI has been in the industry for more than 50 years, 5 decades or so. What's tradition in your mind? What is the traditional AI and what is agentic AI as you're hearing this word very frequently nowadays? I think we have Satya or Shushmita. Do you guys want to come up and share your inputs? And thanks for sharing where you're from on the chat. AI is like a brain that is given to a machine. Awesome. Thank you, Neeli. All right. Suparna, if you can, traditional AI is rule-based to perform specific tasks. Very nice. Monica?
Should I share the presentation, Sandhya?
Yes, yes. AI is the capability we give to machine that can do tasks with minimal human interaction. Awesome, Satya. Generalization of human, which can perform same as human. Okay. Machines can learn, think, and can make decisions. Thank you, Maitri. Awesome. I think all of you are right. I'm going to try to summarize what you all have said. What's the traditional AI and what is the difference between traditional AI? I mean, it's interesting to think about AI as traditional or orthodox or historical AI versus agentic AI. But let me try to get that there a little bit. If we go on to the next slide, Smita, no, sorry, Suparna. It's really about traditional AI is really like a specialist tool, right? I mean, it's traditional AI systems are very task specific. I think some of you have called out Maitri, Satya, and folks like that. And it is very, very reactive. They're operated on some predefined rules or models and require human initiation. So it's a very reactive. Some of the key traits when you think about traditional AI is that, it's very, very narrow in scope, right? It's designed for specific tasks. Like, for example, it's only for image recognition or maybe just spam filtering or maybe just recommendation engines, right? Whether you search in Bing or Google, you'll have, here are the recommended words, auto searches and stuff like that. Or you go to Flipkart or Amazon, you'll also see, hey, here are the recommended products. These are all traditional AI. They're very narrow in scope if you think about it, right? Whereas when you think about agentic, it is autonomous collaborator. It refers to systems that exhibit agency. When you think about agency, what does it mean? That these agents or, the agentic AI is really about, it can make decisions. The traditional AI was not making decisions. It is autonomous, it can initiate actions, and it pursues goals with minimal human prompting, right? So that is the big difference from reactive to proactive, human initiated to autonomous, narrow AI to broadly more generic. We're still not there at the AGI level, but this is coming there if you think about it, right? And these are some of the key traits when you think about agentic AI is really about goal-oriented. It operates towards some objectives, not just tasks, whereas in the traditional AI, it's very, very task-oriented. Here it is objective. You tell the AI or the agents that this is the objective, and it will start also thinking and trying to help you with, achieving the job to be done, not just a task, right? In the entirety. It's very autonomous. What does it mean? It means that it can initiate actions, it can plan steps, so you can think about workflows as well, and it can also adapt strategies because you've already given objectives to that. It can also adapt strategies, and you can give some prompts, if you will. The third angle is it's context aware, right? It understands the broader environment and it adjusts its behavior. The agent adjusts its behavior because it's also learning from the broader context. Whereas in the traditional AI or the narrow AI, it was basically fed and it is kind of, trained on a certain data and it kind of mimics that aspect. So that's the, broad difference, if you will. And of course, it's learning enabled. I think some of you all talked about it. It continuously improves through feedback and interaction as well. Any questions here before I share some examples in this one? All right. If there are no questions, I'll probably share some examples in Agentic AI as well, or the autonomous collaborator. You can think about it. AI agents manage workflows across apps. You can have multiple apps. If you think about it, recommendations engines, we talked about Amazon or Flipkart, or talking about Bing or Google, you'll have like its individual apps, you have it. Here, it can actually manage workflows across apps. It can schedule meetings on your behalf. It can send follow-ups. there are autonomous research assistants. If some of you are using M365, this is Microsoft 365 apps, you have researcher, analysts, and stuff like that, which helps gather data, summarize its findings, and propose next steps. It can also create GTM plans for you as well. There are also multi-agent systems which that can collaborate to solve complex problems. These could be like logistics, supply chain. All of them can happen simultaneously as well. So when you think about agentic AI, it's an autonomous collaborator. It can make decisions. That's the predominant difference. Do you want to share some of the examples which you have seen or read about on agentic AI or traditional AI? And I did share some of them right now. It would be great if you can add some of them, and you can unmute yourself and do it. Or put it up in the chat. I think we have more people right now, so that'd be great. Suparna, you can go to the second slide and we'll hold it there and we can ask folks to share their inputs and some examples, what they've seen, AI examples which they've seen in their lives. The previous slide. Thank you. Anyone? All right.
So if we talk about, sorry, Sandhya,
Yeah, go ahead, Suparna.
Yeah. So if we talk about something like a chat GPT, so does that come under the traditional or does that come under the agentic?
It's LLM model. It's agentic. You can leverage ChatGPT as an agent mode, as well, right? There's an ask mode and an agent mode. You can choose to have an agent mode. So there are a lot of students I see in the chat. If I can talk about some of the tools because I'm from Microsoft, there is obviously a little bit of bias, and I'm going to share some examples because those are the things which I use day in and day out. If you think about Visual Studio or VS Code, which is the development environment, you would see that earlier in the last 3 years, it actually moved into the agentic mode, right? I mean, from a developer perspective, it was help, there was IntelliSense a decade backwards. So, right? I mean, if we help you write, autofill some of the I would say context and stuff like that. And then the next one is there was an ask mode, and now you have agent mode, where you can write code. Most of the code, you can actually give natural language instructions to it, and it actually writes the entire code for you, including telling you how it's thinking about, right? Hey, here are the different steps which it's going to go, and you can correct them. You can actually do like, it's kind of like a co-pilot with you or an agent with you or a collaborator or like a pair programmer with you. So that's the level of agentic mode you have. If there are any developers or any software engineers or any students who are doing computer science or IT, if you have not yet used VS Code in agent mode, I would strongly encourage you to start using it and trying that part, because what used to, you a code which used to take a week, probably you can write it in about half an hour or a few minutes these days. So that's the difference. So, Suparna, I think I kind of gave a long winding answer, but hope that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Anybody has used agent mode as a computer engineer or a student of computer science student here? And what are your experiences doing that? Or if you haven't used, I'd love to know how do you code today? You can develop a website in like few minutes nowadays. You want to do a restaurant website, you can do that in like a few minutes. It's called vibe coding, and it's all these tools are pretty much available free of cost.
So these tools are available on the Visual Studio, what you mentioned?
VS Code. Yeah, VS Code is a free IDE integrated development environment. And there are multiple other IDEs as well. All right. If there are no questions, VS Code Copilot, yeah, thank you. I'm kind of looking at the text chat. Uh, thank you, Vinod. So you've been using VS Code client. Thank you, Ashwin. Do you want to unmute yourself and share what are your experiences, Vinod and Ashwin? Okay, Satya, you've used Cursor. Awesome. It helped you debugging and building the project much faster and easier. Very nice. You used Open Router API key to use client. Very nice, Ashwin. Yeah, thanks. Please keep putting in the chat if you're comfortable with that, and then I'll continue talking. So there are multiple ways. So you understand this is very specialist tool, and traditional AI and agentic AI is a autonomous collaborator. It can make decisions. So let's move to the next one. How is it evolving, right? I mean, we all heard, hey, it's super, super fast. It's, the agentic era. When you think about it, how are firms looking at it? How are companies looking at it? How are organizations looking at it in terms of evolution? Because you've got to embrace this era. If you go to the next slide, uh, there's a concept of frontier firm. I just want to expose you to that. There are different phases in terms of how the evolution is going around, and this is like super fast evolution today. And some companies are there probably in across all three phases, or they're in, all three phases can simultaneously exist in one at a time as well because of different areas. Right, the transformation of AI transformation in companies or in the world can look very different. But this is how we look at how it's going to look go through together, right? The first is the phase one is really about human with assistant. It's really where AI acts as an assistant, removing the drudgery of work and helping people to do the same work better and faster. Thing is same work better and faster. That's phase one, human with an assistant, where every employee has an AI assistant that helps them work better and faster. In phase two, agents join the teams. The difference is agents are joining the team. So they're also one of your team member as digital colleagues, taking on specific tasks at human direction, right? You still have an agent boss there, if you see, and there are specific tasks with human direction. For instance, a researcher agent creating a go-to-market plan. These agents equip employees with new skills that help scale their impact, freeing them to do new and more valuable work. So this is the phase two, where you have human agent teams. In a team, it's not just about human. You'll start having agents also as your team members or digital colleagues, and they take some specific tasks at human direction. And the last phase, that's where you're looking at frontier firm, is where humans set direction for agents that run entire business processes and workflows and checking in as needed, right? Where you would see that there are more and more agents coming in, and humans are kind of helping out in terms of wherever, think about it as where there is emergencies, or where you need to have creativity, empathy, all of that stuff, or there is I would say issues which are there, then human would come and then help them out. So that's phase three, where it's human led and agent operated. So phase one is human with assistant, phase two is human agent teams, and phase three, and that's we're not very far from there. We're going to get there very fast, where it's human led and agent operated, and that's where we're going to look at it in the next 2 to 5 years. Most of the if you are students, when you're out, we're probably at phase three or almost there, where you actually have to work with, you're probably an agent boss at that point of time, right? um, you know we kind of, I think I'm going to reshare the same example. We've seen the role of AI in software development, and some of you have used in the past 3 years, where we started from coding assistance, that's phase one, to chat, which is kind of phase two, and now agents, that's phase three. The same pattern will apply to all knowledge work as well, not just about coding. Imagine an example of supply chain, right? How the roles would change. Agents can handle end-to-end logistics, but whereas humans can guide the agent system, they can resolve exceptions, the whole exception processes, and manage your supply relationships, where you need more human aspects of it, right? So think about agents as tools, or technology as tools to get the work done more, remove all the drudgery so that you can actually leverage your human intelligence, and all the drudgery and stuff like that can be handed over to agents. It's not necessary I want to repeat that the journey to the frontier firm is not necessarily a linear progression. In many cases, you can see all three phases happening simultaneously in companies, if you will. A frontier firm is a company. You can think about it like it's a intelligence on tap. When I say intelligence on taps, what it means is that we've seen that for decades, intelligence was one of the most valuable and limited assets in business, bound by human time, because that's all in our heads, energy and cost. But that's changing. Intelligence is becoming a durable good. It's abundant, with all the agents coming in, with all the LLM models, all of that stuff. It's affordable and it's available on demand. With the rise of AI and agents that can reason, that's the difference, right? I mean, traditionally, we've seen it for 5 decades, but with Agentic AI, these agents are able to reason, plan, and act. So they're going to become like digital labor, and companies can scale its capacity as needed. I think there's a study by IBC or PwC, I forgot the name of the company, but about 80% of the leaders say that they're confident they'll use digital labor to expand workforce capacity in the next 12 to 18 months. And that's 25, 26 for all practical purposes when you think about it. As economic and shareholder pressure mounts for businesses, digital labor offers a new lever for growth, one that helps close the widening gap between what businesses demand and what humans can sustainably deliver. So that's intelligence on tap. So, the companies are evolving to be a frontier firm because you have abundance of intelligence. That's intelligence on tap. The second is, again, human agent teams, and a new role for all of us. All humans is where we're going to be an agent boss. There are lots of intelligent resources. Even some of the support systems, IT, will also evolve. The roles will evolve. All our skills have to be adaptive. We have to be agile and learn as well. One of it could, the HR function could be like dedicated to managing not just human. They'll also have to start managing digital labor as well, which are agents at an organization level. Think about it as like a blend of IT and HR together. Earlier, it was just HR, but now because you'll have digital agents as some of the team members in most of the teams, so that's going to evolve as well. So those are how the roles is going to change. And we can go faster and be more productive, right? What could have taken years, it will probably take days or months, if you will. I'll hold here and open it for questions before I go on to the next one.
Sandhya, why don't we keep questions
in the end?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Because,
okay, sure.
Yeah.
Let me share some examples, right? Like I think, I've talked about frontier firms and how some of the firms are kind of already leveraging these agents. A great example is one of our partners, Accenture, right? It's a professional services company, and it has actually built an agent to help its clients automate and streamline some of the past due payments, speeding up their collections and boosting the bottom line. When you say bottom line, it's the revenue, right? I mean, cash component part of it. There is Bayer in the agriculture sector. They have an agent on the job where researchers on Bayer's crop science R&D team are saving multiple hours per week, accelerating the development of products to drive innovation in agriculture. There's Wells Fargo. This is, it's helping its employees locate information that needs to assist customers. It's a financial services company. It's kind of built an agent for 35,000 bankers across thousands of branches. And they say that, 75% of the searches happen through the agent. What it's doing for them is cutting query response times from 10 minutes to just a few seconds or under a minute. So these are, there are already companies doing it. And even in our company, we also have a bunch of changes and lots of agents deployed as well, where we're seeing in customer success as well. There are, these are very, very interesting angles when you think about it. With that, let me go to the next one. These are some of the examples. It's not in the future, it is today, it is now, and companies are already leveraging this. With that, what does it mean for us as humans, right? I mean, obviously the skills, the roles are changing. There are emerging workforce skills. All of us have to learn, and develop these new skills. Really focus on adaptability, right? And how do we collaborate with AI? Don't think that it's, we are racing against it. AI is here, agents are here. For us, it's really important to embrace it and leverage it as our strength, right? I mean, there are people, if you embrace it, you have a job. If you don't, then people who not embracing it or not learning that skill, probably it'll be difficult for them. It because you have a lot of knowledge, domain knowledge. So if you embrace it, you can do your work much better. So that's really about, be very, very adaptable and have an angle of thinking about how do you collaborate with AI. Those are the kind of new, and there are new roles which will come up, right? I mean, there's prompt engineering as you think about it. There is ethical AI, responsible AI. How do you think about, the legal aspects of it? How do you ensure compliance when you have these digital labor force or agents coming into it? So the new jobs coming in as well. The roles evolve as I gave you one example of HR and IT, the roles are evolving there so that you can work collaboratively across, because you'll have hybrid human agent functions. And obviously continuous learning is super, super important. And it's especially in this huge era, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of things shifted when there is internet era or mobile era. This is another era and this is like going at much, much faster pace. So that's something which we have to go and embrace, that part of it. So adaptability, understanding, thinking that it's your, ensuring and have that mindset that AI is here and that's a collaborative tool. It's your friend and it's your work partner, and learn how to drive it. So those are some of the things we as humans have, or some of our job profiles are going to go evolve as well. If you go on to the next slide. What it means, let me try to summarize on some of the key takeaways from this area is agentic evolution. It kind of marks a major advancement in artificial intelligence, impacting various industries and workflows. We've seen that in IT, we are seeing that in automation, robotic automation, we are seeing that in other healthcare, whether it's shipping, logistics, this huge evolution across everywhere. The future of work is going to change how we collaborate, how humans collaborate with each other, and how we going to work alongside machines is going to change. And obviously, we'll also have to balance, there's the opportunities and challenges, right? With every great power also comes greater responsibility. I think if you are a big fan of Spider-Man, there is a great saying there, with power comes responsibility. This is again a moment where AI is coming in and as our workforce. So it also is important to ensure that the bias is not creeped into some of the AI. Also think about how we can ensure there's a compliance, legal aspects, all of that can come in. Identify some of the potential risks and work to that, because ethics is super, super important. So those are very, very important as humans. I think it's as new workforce, human workforce, we also have to think about how we're going to be as managers, right? I mean, or you're going to be an agent manager, or every employee pretty much is going to be an agent boss. You're probably going to say when you come into the workforce, I create and manage agents. It's not just creating agents as an IT industry. You say I create and manage agents. It's a shift as profound as what we had in mobile or web eras, which fundamentally redefines the way we work and remove all the drudgery that weighs us down. This transformation is already underway. The organization charts are shifting. We're going to have digital labor in our charts. It's not just going to be like a manager and 5 people here. There'll be like 5 more agents or 10 more agents coming in. Some roles are evolving, as I called out, while others, which are not even in the radar. I mean, we don't even know because we are still learning. All of us are learning. There are some roles which were not there last year are there today, and they're going to be more, which is going to be there next year, and they'll get filled. And that's something which we have to be very, very open about. Imagine knowing what you know today just before the internet changed everything, right? I mean, that's where we are with AI. Knowledge is power, and having it now gives people the agency to lead this moment. the question isn't about if AI will reshape work, it's how fast we are willing to move with it. I think that's, I would say that's the last one. It's really about how fast we can move with it and embrace it and take it in a radar. So that's a quick overview on what how agentic AI is going to change and how it's changing already. And probably now I'll open up for questions.
Thank you, Sandhya.
Thank you, Sandhya.
That's a very vast space and scope that you've beautifully summarized. I want to kick off the questions with something very basic and simple. So if I'm somebody who is not familiar with the words and the scope and the expanse of what AI does, what is a good place for me to start learning about this? What are the resources? What are the top 3 places, whether it's websites, whether it's AI itself, to teach me about AI? Where do I start? And who do I follow, or what do I read on a regular basis to kind of learn about this space? Because, like you said, it's moving so fast. And frankly, there's too much information out there. So guide us with your top 3 go-to resources for a beginner.
So I start with Copilot. In fact, like when I was, earlier in the day when I was starting this deck, I actually started this deck after, I finished my lunch, and I did leverage the Copilot. I mean, I knew what I wanted to talk. So there's PowerPoint. I mean, if you think about it, AI is already there. There's an agentic experience in PowerPoint, which you're using. The tools are not changing. I still use PowerPoint, but I've used, the agentic experiences there and said, hey, this is what I wanted to go and talk. I just gave instructions. I used natural language, and it actually created the slides for me. Of course, I modified a little bit. So all the slides which is there today, which I kind of use, this is all created by AI in a few minutes.
Fantastic.
And I use
Copilot.
Yeah, so PowerPoint, you're doing a Word. If you're doing, you're writing a paper. I think John, I can see there, he writes so many papers. You can start giving instructions and it'll write papers. You can use a research and analyst there, M365. If you have a Copilot, if you're using Microsoft Copilot, I start using that. You can do a lot of research. Earlier, we used to go and if you're a market researcher, you could go and look at, you're going to read Gartner, you're going to read PwC, all of that stuff, right? AI is able to read all of that stuff and come back with summary, and then also give you that, here is the summary and here's the thing. And you can keep telling it, hey, I want to add this one. Can you add this? It's just basically give you instructions. Think about it like a huge assistant for you on steroids, I would say. Start with that, and it'll give you the parts. If you don't need problem there. Okay. The other angle, if you want to get into the tech part of it, right? I mean, every company creates different tools and different ways to create agents as well, right? I mean, and some of you, if you understand, there is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or solutions as a service as well, right? So M365, or if you think about it, or your Office suite and things like Microsoft Suite, is a SaaS, right? I can able to create an agent within M365 itself. So much easier. It's a low code, no code aspect, right? You can still create an agent doing that. If you have an Outlook or you have a mail app, you can create an agent to respond to your mails. So that's as simple as that. If you're not a software engineer. If you have some aspects of it, there is PaaS, you have Copilot Studio, where you could do still with a little bit of low code, no code, or some instructions, you can create an agent. Say, hey, go use this LLM, or this model versus that model, given your data, train it and stuff like that. So that's second. The third, if you want much more complex, there is Foundry. That's another platform. Think about it's like IaaS aspect, right? I mean, you can do much more deeper. So depending on where you are, you can use, the two platforms are there for all of them.
Thank you. So one short question. So we are doing the series for students in STEM and really to help them with their careers going forward. How would you suggest that students use AI to both improve their resumes and apply it better, both in their education process and then as they are entering the job market? How can they use it more effectively at that stage in their lives?
I think it's super important that they embrace the development aspect of it, right? If you're a developer or a software engineer, start using the models, the development angle of it, if you will, right? Think it from whether your market requirements.
Even non-tech, even non-tech
non-tech,
students.
absolutely, you can still use them. As I called out, right? M365, if you're a marketing person, there's design. Let's take design as an example, right? You have Canva, a lot, or Adobe, they all have AI agents into it. You can actually go and design, there's a little bit controversy in terms of art, right? Whether it's really art, because now your images are getting generated by AI and stuff like that. But you can actually give instructions, hey, here's a picture, now add this one, blot that one. You can actually talk about an agent aspect of it. Marketing, think about marketing, right? You can leverage, say, hey, here are the different stories. And you can actually also, maybe if you created an ad, right? You can actually say, hey, this is some kind of an ad. Can I do a research? Hey, how did it work? Are there any similar ads which happened? What was the response? Because there is data out there. You might have not direct access, but it'll probably go on the net because it's already read through the whole thing. It'll say, hey, here are the results. Maybe this is, you might want to go and, change a little bit. So that's from a marketing perspective, if you think about it. If it's a non-tech or logistics, there's another angle, right? I mean, workflows, you can actually predict, hey, there is potential, there's a traffic jam somewhere. You can actually say, hey, this is going on and this is the maps there. So go and take this route. Today, like, human is doing it, but an agent can come and say, automatically redirect for you instead of reactive, make it more proactive. A lot of logistic companies are already leveraging that. Right. I think I read or rather heard one of the podcasts by Amazon, how they're using these agents and AI in terms of logistics, right? I mean, from your click of a button on Amazon, .com, a retail website, it goes through about hundreds of steps workflow within a few seconds before it commits your payment, right? It's like hundreds of workload steps, including the shop floor, packing, all of that stuff, if you will. So yes, everywhere. How do you use it is the point, and think about it as just a tool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if somebody else, I think we are
Are
being
there any
more
questions
students
in
than,
the chat?
yeah, I think we are being more students than the students, I guess. Yeah.
I
But
think think about some projects, right? I think one question you kind of alluded to, right, Smita, is in terms of, hey, what are the projects? What are real life scenarios you're able to, look at internships or look at any projects maybe that you, if you're in the college, what are the problems you're really solving, and are you able to leverage, the domain expertise of people and some of the AI, because you are part of the generation. It's much, you can embrace it much faster. You're learning that, leverage and create those tools, if you will. And of course, the next part is quantum is coming. It's going to speed things up much more in an exponential way as well. So that's there too.
There is a question in the chat from Ashwin, who says they're using vibe coding for doing projects. Can we use the same vibe coding in industrial projects?
Yes, you can. You can definitely do, but you've got to go check out how much you write. Is it enough is the question, Ashwin, at this point of time, right? I mean, if it's a simpler use case, if it's not complex, obviously you can still use it. But if you want to go and do more deterministic, more complex and stuff, you would probably have to go a little bit deeper, if you will. To start with, I think, again, back to Smita's question, how do you start with vibe coding? Is like, nobody knows how to code. A CEO can do a vibe coding and still get whatever they want to get done. It's really the vibe, and use your natural language. We used to learn C or C++ and stuff like that. You don't need to learn a language, computer language anymore. It understands natural language. That's the big difference. Now that's why it's low code, no code angle, which is really the beautiful thing, I would say. So everybody is a everybody is a software developer. You don't need to have a degree, engineering degree, to do that.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
I think Dr.
But
Banu,
yeah.
one more question I see.
Yeah, one more question there. So can
Will
agentic
it
AI
ever fully replicate human judgment or intuition? No, definitely no. That's where we come in, right? That's where you have human agent teams, human-led agent teams there. They're very good at, doing some of the stuff autonomous, but end of the day, the decision, the human judgment, the empathy, creativity, the intuition is still with human. And that's where it'll always be there. The idea is like leverage them as tools, all of this stuff, and then so that we can do things much faster. We all have backlogs, right? When I think about, I probably have like a 5-year backlog. Maybe now I'll get it faster now because you're more productive. The humans are much more productive with, all of these agents and machines and stuff like that, if you will.
There's another question there. What are the prerequisites to learn agentic AI?
Not curiosity to learn.
So when we just adding to that question, so when you say so for example, say when I'm in the co-pilot, so there is a usual ask thing, like we can ask it everything, and then we go to the agent mode, and then it operates like how does it work? Like how is it different from a usual space where we are just asking questions or asking it to create some visuals or blah 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 whatever?
So agent mode is really, if you think about it, in your Copilot, if you look at your M365 Copilot, researcher is one agent. You're leveraging that agent because researcher, you can ask one question, but it's you're not telling do X, Y, Z. You're not giving like 100 steps, right? Like, as a robotic machine. What you're doing is you're just giving an objective, hey, go find the data. It is using its intelligence to go and figure out and create those steps, and will ask you, hey, here are the steps I'm going to go through, and here is based on that, and here is the output. It is also kind of creating a plan, and you can review the plan and modify the plan. So that is the difference between before and now. Earlier it was like, hey, it's probably, think about like a search query, right? Hey, find me this, and that's it. Now it's like you're giving an objective, right? Like, hey, I want to do this, and out of that, like, find me this is just probably one step out of 100 steps. So you're giving the objective now. That is the difference now. If you have a research angle, use a researcher. If you're thinking about analysis and insights, use an analyst. And, those are agents which are there. And you can create new agents. EY is another great example, which recently did, on top of the model, they started to Copilot tuning. EY, Ernst and Young is very experts on tax and legal aspects, right? They trained it on multiple templates, all their documents and stuff like that. So now they, all their employees of EI, can access all that insights and data much more faster versus, going and finding 100 people and trying to gather information and documents together. So they've got everything together and trying to do that. And I believe they've already they called out that they've achieved 15% productivity already with this new agent. I think EY Portal 1 is the name of the agent, I guess. So people are leveraging it in their workforce, if you will. I think there's one more question there from Dr. Banu. How do we ensure accountability when agentic AI systems make decisions? I think it's how you use, right? There is always a human led. Even in phase 3, there's human led, and agents are part of it. So it's the human which has to think about it. It's not fully done. That's where a lot of companies, policies, governments are still getting created. We're all learning together. I think there's this question, hey, if can machines need to take accountability versus a human there, right? That's the question. We are kind of looking at, those are policy discussions which are happening. At this point of time, when we think about it, it's still the human who's taking accountability, at least in certain areas, at least in our cases, if you will. We are leveraging agents, but it's always that fine balance, if you will, right? Like, how are you using, right? I mean, you have a weapon. We've seen machines, we've seen weapons and stuff like that. All of that, it's technology, but end of the day, there are rules, policies, laws which are there to do that. And this is just another tool or technology, and there will be laws, rules, policies, and how you can use it for both good and bad, and how you use it is what matters. And that's where, it's super important to work across, institutions, academic institutions, governments, international organizations, and obviously technology creators as well, right? Platforms and solution creators.
Just kind of adding to that question, I think the issues are more ethical right now than technology, I guess, because already I think technology has reached quite an advanced level where it can be further used in multiple ways. But I think what is stopping is the ethics around it, is because then in some cases, like if we look at autonomous cars itself, like there's a lot of the ethical issues which are stopping the technology from actually moving forward rather than the technology per se.
Yes and no, Suparna, in my opinion. I mean, technology also, right, to a certain extent is still evolving and will continue to evolve. For example, in autonomous vehicles, as you called out, right? I think it knows when it's plain going, it's awesome, right? But it still is not able to predict the cyclist moving, right? It's not, everybody will not move in the same way, or the animals, if you're there on the, if you think about India or some of the Asian countries, you'll have animals moving around. It's very difficult to predict. So there is that part of it, and the data, right? Like, do you have like internet, for example, right? For autonomous vehicles to really work, you also need to have like ubiquitous internet across with no drops. If you don't have, then the information which is, what's there, the cameras of, if it's all of that is there or not, that could be a challenge. So it's about, is it ubiquitous? Then probably it might work. If it's not, it's a challenge, right? The technology is evolved and it might work in some constrained environments, if you will, but not across the world. Uh, to be ubiquitous, all of this also, technology also has to evolve and predict some of these aspects and ensure that there is, the internet is probably uninterrupted even for a nanosecond or maybe more, if you will.
The question there, is it a good, okay, there was one before. Are AI agents and agentic AI the same thing? If I have an application that plans my trip and also books flight tickets, hotel rooms, and all that, what do we call it? AI agent or agentic AI?
So AI, like is a singular, right? Agent it's an agent, it's intelligent agent. Agentic AI is the concept, right? You can have multiple agents, you can have uh, multi-orchestrated agents and stuff like that. It's a concept. Agentic AI is usually the concept and how you're going to work across. Whereas AI agent is just one agent when you think about it that way. I think this is another example, right? Earlier we would, now it's actually telling you, hey, here are the examples. You can actually go and plan and create your entire plan, and you can, for a travel, people started using it. Earlier, the planning would have taken like 2-3 weeks. Now it's like, hey, here are the blogs, which you can help with. Here are the stuff which, if you want laid back, or if you want to do adventurous trip and stuff like that, it will give you all of that stuff based on your budgets, based on your where you're going from, and all of that stuff. It's become much easier in terms of trip planning. There's one question Ashwin asked. Absolutely, you can definitely use multiple AI, and I know some folks in our team kind of, or a lot of developers I've seen using, is that if they're using for coding one LLM, they're probably for testing, they'll use another LLM, just to give you that, uh, a different perspective, right? You can definitely do that. And I think it's recommended to do that as well, because, if there is an issue, it might not catch its own issue, right? It's good to, look at another LLM, another model and things like that. So play around with that. It's always good. Everything is evolving continuously, so it's always good to play around.
I think the next question is really important.
The real world tech industry, what kind of work, products will companies be building that need engineers with knowledge of agentic AI, and where will the jobs or opportunities be? I think there are two aspects, right? Usage is like the creators of AI and then the application users, all of that are different, right? The creators, if you will, the number of people who you need to create probably is a smaller one. You don't need as much to, erstwhile about 2-3 decades back, I mean, we had a lot of people who were doing repetitive work, even in automation, data entry, and all of that stuff, right? All of that is now not required. Now, what is required is you can use, you can create agents to do that. So there is that difference, right? Then manual drudgery work is probably not there anymore. I mean, I remember like a couple of decades back, a lot of people were doing manual testing even for software. I mean, that then there's a whole test automation and all of that stuff, right? Then you've removed that. So, but all of them were engineers as well. If some level of software engineering, understanding of the tools and understanding of the language was required. That is not required as much. But is the role gone? No, the role is still there. You still need to test. You still need to do all of that stuff. It's the how you do it is changing. That is the difference, if you will. How do you create agents? How do you leverage that? uh, you know, the problems are not changing, if you will, right? I mean, real world problems are still there. It's about how the how part is changing. It's becoming much, much more easier in terms of technology. But at the same time, you'll also have like ethical engineers will start coming in more. Prompt engineers will come in because you also have to go and do that. So those are kind of different roles which we'll start looking at it. Hope that answered your question, Giri, or otherwise, please unmute yourself and
Just asking from there, when you say prompt engineering, what does it actually mean? Like, what's engineering about a prompt?
Good question. So it's the constraints, right? Like AI today hallucinates, if you will, right? I mean, if it doesn't know, it doesn't, it's not always factual, right? It hallucinates. Now, how do you ensure that it reduces its hallucination and become more factual? So then it's like it's kind of instructions you provide to that. It's essentially a prompt engineering. It's really about instructions. How good, you got to understand how it behaves so that you can give the right instructions. So it's really about providing the instructions for the job you need to get it done. Think about security, right? I mean, like, hey, you want to make sure it's secure. How do you ensure whatever you're developing, is more secure? So you'll say, hey, you've got to ensure that there is network isolation is there, or there is this part of it is there. I want to only open this set of data to it, not everything. What levels of separation I would need. Those are kind of things you got to go and give them. The constraints, or don't do this. If you know that this is potentially something you don't want it to do, you can also say don't do this. Those are kind of instructions. I think last 5 minutes.
Yes, any more questions? This is your last chance to ask your questions and doubts.
And anybody can chime in and answer as well. It's not just me here. I think we have probably other experts in the room. Please feel free to unmute and add your perspectives.
We have
Some of you can share your
really,
challenges also, any challenges that you face
Yeah.
while working with AI.
we have a very large audience today, but they're very shy to unmute and turn on their videos and join us. But very happy to see at least there's engagement on the chat. So keep it coming. If there is, let me ask the audience, if there is a follow-up session on AI, what would you like to learn about or to know more about? Could you please put that in the chat? Then we can structure something around that as a follow-on topic. Personally, I think it might be interesting to see a live demo, using AI or building something out, maybe a website or designing a solution to something, or to really see how it works. For those of us who are new to it or don't use it as deeply as some of you. But looking forward to some responses in the chat on what aspect of AI would you like to hear about next? We have a few more minutes. So, Sandhya, question for you. Given how fast this area is evolving and growing, even as a person in the field, how do you stay abreast with what's new and what's coming around the corner?
I think it's a curiosity and learning, right? I mean, like what was different 3 months before versus how people are using, even in my own team, has changed so much, right? I mean, the agent mode has come much more prevalent in the last 3 months versus it was there, but in pockets versus the extent of prevalency has changed. And we could see now we're kind of looking at, how fast it is using. And all of us, in fact, I mean, I built an agent last yesterday. I went into coding after a long time as well. So it's pretty interesting. And I've just done vibe coding as well. So it's fun, super fun to do it. And, I don't need to learn a new language and still get what I need to do pretty fast, if you will, right? I mean, there is the concept of MCP servers, which are there where you're able to think about it's a protocol where agents can talk to each other. So that's a new, it's been there for some time, but it's become much more prevalent and, ubiquitous as we go. And this is changing every month. So one of the things which I do is I talk to a lot of freshers, interns. That's one way where I get reverse mentored. That's one of the ways I kind of learn. Second is a bunch of articles and read up, right? I mean, follow what's going on across the industry, what's new, and how do we leverage that, and how do we leverage to solve some of the problems which we have, and which I can do much faster. Can I actually, what we had something for say about a few years, can I cut it down by like say X percentage of time, right? Can I cut it down by 100% or 50%, whatever that number is? Can I go faster because I have more agentic AI and more systems in place? That's how I kind of look at it. I think it's very important to go figure out, hey, instead of narrow, how do we think about exponential? Can I go 10x? Can I go 100x? If I'm able to do this now in
That's
so and so, like how do I go exponential? If you think very incremental improvement, you'll only look at solutions. The solutions which will come into your mind are also incremental.
Yeah.
But AI is here where you can actually go exponential. You can think 10x, you can think 100x. It's really in your mind. And how do you think about when you think about it, you will find solutions in your sleep as well. That's how I can.
The scope is very wide. It's not just in science and business, it's in the arts. This week I'm going to a talk about AI in publishing and how it has completely changed the way people not just write books, but publish books, and in the art world, it's changing access. So there are many, there are areas that you do not think of as needing or using technology, but they're doing it very, very well.
Weaving as well, right? New patterns in weaving. I saw an example of weave.
Exactly.
There are certain ways when even for hand weaving, but there's always same patterns. But mixing of that, there are new patterns which are coming, and people are leveraging it beautifully.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I read an article in the Economic Times on Satya Nadella. In fact, Microsoft has put out his 5 prompts which he is using in his workday, AI prompts which he's using on a daily basis to improve his productivity levels and to help his workload. So I think even from, whether it's a student or a CEO, I think there is great potential to use it and to continue. I guess it evolves as you evolve. So, and vice versa.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. That's a beautiful summary. Thanks for sharing that, Smita.
Yeah, so great. So I think if there aren't any more questions, maybe we can wrap this up. There are a couple of suggestions in the chat for follow-on sessions, which we'll make a note of. And I just want to thank everyone who's joined today. We've had a fantastic response. Please look for the recordings of these sessions on our website, csvunlimited.com. And we will share the date of our next session. I think we already have a date, Suparna, in September. We have, I think, 20th September, if I'm not wrong. We have, I believe it's 20th September is our next webinar. So please save the date and we will reach out through email and WhatsApp as well. So thank you for joining today. And thank you, Sandhya, for a very engaging and interesting session on AI. And we look forward to seeing you on the 20th of September next. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity and thanks for great questions.
Thanks, Sandhya. That was really interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you so much, man, for the enlightening session.
Thanks a lot.